Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. As a matter of fact, I need to really be welcoming myself back. I have been out of pocket a couple of weeks because I had a surgical procedure done, and so all is well. Praise God. I am back in the mix. Happy to be back with you all. And because of what happened while I was down, that actually brought about tonight's topic. Now, before I dive right on in, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Cubion, and I love to talk about Jesus, spiritual growth, anything about empowerment, and I love a joke or two here or there. Actually, a lot of jokes. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, I have to tell you that the time after my surgical procedure, as challenging as it was, because while the surgery in and of itself went fine, there were something that came up in the middle of it, and it ended up causing my recovery to take a little bit longer and to definitely be a whole lot more painful than originally anticipated. But I have to tell you that despite that, I had so much peace and I was overwhelmed with not only God's goodness, but just the people that I have been so blessed to have in my life. I mean, I I was a weepy mess for several days just thinking about it. Ooh, I might listen. I might cry a little tad bit just thinking about it. For me, it's a big deal. Well, for one, I have to share with you and say that time out. Oh my goodness. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. So, wow. I'm sorry. I was looking at something and yeah, I'll check in on that later. It's all good. My apologies, my apologies. So, I was a weeping mess because ever since my mom's suicide, I have been really, for the majority of the time, estranged from my family. I mean, her suicide tore my family apart. Now, granted, I'm a military brat, so I did not grow up around my family and did not have close relations with them because I didn't live around them. I would see these people once a year and I knew we were related, but that's pretty much it. But with that, my immediate family was close, and my mom was my best friend. So her passing was very, very hard for me. It was very hard. And so I consider myself a family oriented person that is not in a family oriented family. That is what I consider myself. And after my procedure, what I began to look at was just at how God had blessed me. And despite the fact that I don't have blood family around me, from the moment of my mother's passing, I have missed nothing. Now, granted, like nobody can replace mama, okay? There's nobody like mama. And I even have a mentor and spiritual mother, but she doesn't replace my mom that I lost. And I miss my mom. I miss my mom every day, man, but I am still, my God, God is taking care of me and I'm okay. And my child, oh, this one gets me worked up. She's not missing out on anything. My child does not know that our friends, she does not know that they are not blood family. She does not know that her nanny is not actually related to her. She loves her first nanny. She loves her nanny now. And while, my nanny is more like a little sister to me now, has become family, but we're not blood family. And so I get overwhelmed because I'm like, Lord, I thank you that I'm not so caught up in who's not there for me. that I can't be grateful for who is here for me. And so I want to talk to you about who was there for me, like the people that were there for me when I had my procedure, what they did for me. And I remember thinking what hit me was wow, while I was thanking God for my village that was there for me during this time, I had the realization of, you know what? This village that my God blessed me with, they did not just pop up out of nowhere. There were things that I did that built this village. Now, mind you, I was not purposefully building connections to build a village. It just ended up happening like that. And when I look back, I'm like, wow, I built a village and I didn't realize it. But my God, I am so grateful. So let me tell you what ended up happening. And then I want to tell you the things that I did to build my village. And so I want to encourage you that if you don't have family there to be there for you the way that you think they should, that's okay. Don't get so caught up on who is not there that you can't see and be grateful for who is there for you. Come on. That has got to bless somebody. That has got to bless somebody. Lord have mercy. So, for my surgery, I looked at who I had around me that could help me. I'm very mindful to on purpose ask for help. One of the I'll call benefits of having a child later in life is that I was able to see what people did. And one of the things that I saw moms do over and over and over again is not want to ask for help and having this thing of, well, nobody can do it like you do. Well, girl, duh. Can't nobody handle your children in your home like you. But just because people can't handle your children in home like you does not mean they cannot provide quality help or quality assistance. And I just remember just seeing moms so burnt out because they felt like help was not an option. And that made me think I'm going to have a nanny. I knew I was going to have a nanny. Well, my first government job that I had, I worked in a clinic, and my mind was blown because the way that I grew up in my community and from what I knew within the African American community, we didn't do nannies. Excuse me. It was not something I saw. But what blew my mind is I would be in clinic and these doctors would get phone calls from their children's schools with saying, hey, so and so is sick, you need to come. And I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, we got this clinic full of people. We're gonna have to end up shutting this clinic down. We're gonna have to reschedule all of these appointments. And turns out it wasn't an emergency. The doctor would hang up with the school, get on the phone, call their nanny, put the phone back in the pocket and get back to work. Like my mind was blown because I had never seen that because that was always an emergency situation. My mom, usually it was her. My father spent a lot of time overseas being in the military. And so while there were some people here and there that helped my mom, it was mainly on her. And so my mind was blown when because my mom would have to struggle with if she didn't work, she didn't get paid. She worked blue collar jobs. And so she would be irritated about having to miss work if I was sick. These doctors did not have that. Now, granted, my mom was in a different pay category, but I do believe that even if she had the money that doctors had, she wasn't about to have no nanny. It wasn't a part of our culture. So I knew then I was going to have a nanny. And then fast forward, just watching other people get married and have families and raise their children and just see them burnt out when they could easily get some assistance. Like if you don't have family to help you, you could hire the help. For me, it was a no-brainer. I already knew I was going to have a nanny. I didn't know I would have one this soon, but I knew I was going to have help. So we take that. And so I'm mindful of of needing of myself, of knowing like, okay, I should ask for help. It's okay if I have to miss something. It's okay if I need somebody else to do something. And I also recognize that I have to be okay with asking for help, because there are things that God has called me to do, and I am still working a full-time job. If I don't ask, hear me mamas, if I don't ask for help, I will, with my baby, I will miss out on kingdom assignments because I won't go and ask for help. That's not an option. And so we have to humble ourselves. How many mamas, you were supposed to have been writing books? You supposed to be over here serving and over there doing that and over there doing that. But you've given yourself an out. You've given yourself an excuse because you're like, well, I don't have anybody to watch my kids. When you should be asking God, how, what can I do to make this happen so that, Lord, I can get to where you need me to be? You need to get to where the Lord needs you to be. I wasn't even planning to go this route, but baby, this is straight off Holy Spirit Express. Okay. You need to get to where God needs you to be and stop utilizing your children as an excuse for that. And so I'm going to say that very boldly, because most people would tell you that that is a very good and natural excuse. But at the end of the day, once God has told you to do something, he knows what's on your plate. He knows what kind of kids you got. He knows all of that. And he still gave you that instruction. So your responsibility is to then ask the Lord, what can I do to make this happen, Lord? How can I be obedient? Because right now I don't see how I can do it. I'm tied up over here and needed over here and needed over there. Lord, what is the strategy for me to be able to accomplish this that you're telling me to do? That's how you handle that, okay? Now, so I have my nanny to help me. So when it came time for planning my surgery, like 2 or 3 days after my surgery was scheduled, my hubby ended up with a work trip that he needed to be out of town for. And so he was going to cancel it. And I'm like, no, I know they need you out there. And if something goes wrong and you're not there, it's going to be a problem. I've had I've had like a dozen procedures. This one is supposed to be supposed to be small. You go handle your business. I will get help. I will be okay, because the downtime for my procedure was supposed to only be 2 days. It ended up being a whole week I was in bed, but I digress. so, so I told my hubby to go on ahead. It's not a huge deal. Handle your business. I have worked close to the field that he is in, and I understand how important his work is. So I wanted him to go on ahead and go on his work trip. So I lined up. I had one friend that I asked to take me to the doctor. I had my nanny that's scheduled for her to come and switch out vehicles to get my vehicle because it had the baby's car seat, and she was picking baby girl up from daycare and was doing her usual duties in the evening when I'm typically working, which is getting her dinner together. I had planned and did all of our meal prepping, so all she had to do was warm up food for her, and all I needed was food warmed up. She does baby girl's bath. She reads to her. She does baby girl's laundry. She folds towels. She straightens up the kitchen. I mean, she's a huge blessing, because after I've worked all day, then get off my day job, fix dinner, then I go and pour for another 3 hours in the evening. When I come downstairs, I don't want to deal with trying to clean up the kitchen. I'm tired, but sometimes I am putting in 14-hour days. I'm exhausted. So by the grace of God, I've gotten help with that. So the only thing different she had to do was pick up baby girl. And so there was no stress or worry there. I had another friend that would came over in the daytime. Now I was planning to only need help during the day of surgery, while I was on strong narcotics, but turned out I needed somebody to be with me during the daytime. So my friends that telework just work from my home, and they were, warm food up for me and get things for me. And we had a lovely time. Now, mind you, I was high as a kite on them narcotics, but we ended up having girl time and we had a great time. So I enjoyed that time with them. And so, and when my nanny would leave in the evening time, one of those friends would just stay until baby girl was asleep, so that I wouldn't have to man her at all, because I needed to be able to sit still. And you know anything about toddlers, you cannot parent from just sitting still, not moving. It don't work like that. At least not with my daughter. So I lined everything up. I asked people in advance what they would do. I was mindful about what made the most sense. I had another friend that drove my daughter to school. So I asked a friend that lived the closest to me, so that instead of asking the friend that lived way across town, I asked a friend that lived closest to me, because I was mindful so that I was not inconveniencing people more than necessary. Although all of them, each of them would have done whatever I asked, I took the responsibility of asking, of being mindful. And so I'm saying that because sometimes you're asking people for help. Sometimes you can people can, I'm not you, because baby, you so good. You didn't do this, but other people can ask for help without being taking into consideration like how they might be inconveniencing you. So for example, my friend that just started a job, I'm not asking her to take me to surgery. I'm going to ask my friend that's been on her job forever, got all kinds of leave, has a whole lot of flexibility. That's the one that I'm asking, can you take me to surgery? See what I'm saying? So I was very mindful of that, and I tried to keep things to where they were to where I got what I needed still, but I did not inconvenience people more than necessary. So always be mindful. So that was the type of help that I had. Everything was covered. I felt so loved. I'm telling you, I was a weeping mess, because I'm like, God, you love me so much. You surrounded me with some amazing people. And I'm so grateful that God had me to let go of what I learned from my mother. My mom, as she would say, she didn't do women. She didn't do females. And then she raised me like that. And I was out in these streets hollering about I don't do women. And I hadn't even had bad experience. I'm just saying it because that's what my mama taught me. And God, several years ago, made me break that thing off of me. And I'm so grateful, because I would never have these wonderful connections with beautiful, kind hearted, thoughtful kingdom women if I still had the mindset of I don't do women and all women are messy. No, they're actually not all messy. Some of them are, but all women are not messy. And I utilize my discernment. I let people's fruit speak for them. And I've been blessed to be surrounded by some really amazing people. Now, with that being said, I took a look at, while I was laying in the bed, I took a look at, wow, okay, I built these relationships, like none of these God relationships, and I believe every one of them is a blessing and a God relationship, but none of them happened by happenstance. And there was work being put in. So there was one friend, I just knew her from online. And when I had my 40th birthday extravaganza in her city, I invited her. And we've just never met her. Now that was at the time felt crazy, but I just felt led to invite her. She seemed like she was a pretty cool person. She had been in a couple of my classes before. And I just invited her to come hang out. And turns out she's a great person. And she's here. We're here in the same city now. And she's been a blessing on multiple occasions, helping me with my baby. And I can trust her. Now, considering the fact that I have a background where I was abused and sexually abused, dealing with SA, I would have thought that I would never be able to trust my child with somebody, but it is because of the spirit of the living God in me. I have discernment where so I can utilize wisdom in deciding who I can trust with my child. And so I encourage you that as you are being open to trusting people, use wisdom and use discernment. Allow God to lead you in knowing who you can and cannot trust. And you, I believe, would be surprised, because some of you, I know and I feel in my spirit that you're like, nope, can't leave my child with nobody, can't trust nobody. Baby, you can't live life like that. And when you feel like that, you are still tied to the trauma of your past. Everybody is not out to hurt you. Everybody is not out to hurt you or your children. And so when you live with that fear, you are bound by that spirit of fear and you need to be set free. And I am so grateful to be free enough to be able to open myself to help and so that I can do what God has called me to do. Because again, if I was not open to having help with my child, I would be missing all kinds of kingdom assignments because of feeling like I have to be there with her and can't nobody else do it. The devil is a liar. Somebody needs to get set free on that right now. Glory be to God. So, how did I build my village, my family's village? Because they say it takes a village to build a child, but what they don't tell you is that sometimes you have to build your own village, and your village may not just consist of blood relatives, honey. That is okay. Get over it. That's fine, baby. Let it go. Just let it go. Let it go. So, to have friends, you have to be friendly. Point blank. Period. Some of y'all mean, but well, not you, girl. Them other people, they mean, but not you. You have to be friendly to have friends. You have to get out of your comfort zone. And I have to tell you, people don't know this, but I'm really I consider myself an extroverted introvert. So, and I don't like being the center of attention. But you wouldn't know that. You see me online right now because what God has called me to do causes me to put myself out there. But I have to give I have to give myself pep talks, okay? Before I go to meetings and I know that I'm going to be interacting with people, I have to talk to myself. I have to like turn myself on, flip the switch because I am not always, hey girl, and I love people. But I'm not always like that. I don't always feel like interacting. I am also the person that I tell on myself that sometimes I see people out that I know and I just act like I didn't see them, especially if they didn't see me because I don't want to do no small talking. I am not always woo woo, hey everybody, I'm not. I'm sorry, but I know you thought I was. I know you thought I was because by when I show up, I show up on 100 and I'm there. But it takes work. I remember when I moved to Huntsville and I wanted to meet people. So it was very popular. It ended up being very popular at the time to go to this restaurant called Cantina Laredo. And they would have, I don't know, Thursdays would be like ladies' night or something. And so I would go there, and there are a lot of young professionals, young and older, but a lot of professionals would hang out there. Great place to meet people. I would I would drive to Cantina Laredo and I would sit out in my car and I'd pull down my mirror and I would look at myself and talk to myself and be like, you are going to go in there. You are going to have a good time. You are going to talk to people. You are going to be friendly. You're going to go in there and make friends. And so I would have to make myself. I didn't know people when I moved here. I met so many people and made so many great connections and that was in 2008. Here we are in 2025. I have made so many great connections from that time, but I'm telling you, I had to sit in the parking lot and give myself a pep talk before I would go in there. And I probably had to do that for a year before I got comfortable and would just pop up and then I would know the people. But I don't always show up like this. I don't always feel like talking to people. So you can utilize how being an introvert as an excuse, but you're not going to be able to build your community by staying in your comfort zone. You're going to have to leave it, boo, unless you want to try to make the Amazon man, no, excuse me, the UPS man that's bringing your Amazon packages, part of your community. You're going to have to do a little something different. If you go to church, don't just show up at the start of service and leave with it. Leave with it as soon as it's over. Go to some of the events. Go say hi to somebody. Get out of your comfort zone. You have to utilize wisdom to trust the right people. And again, when you have been hurt, opening yourself up to trust people can be so scary. But while you're struggling to trust people, you can trust God. Trust what He says. If He says it's okay, this person is who they present themselves to be, because I asked God, I get this, what I consider like a check in my spirit, and the Lord lets me know if people are who they present themselves to be. And when I don't get a check mark, I don't care how nice this person appears to be on the outside. I don't care how much other people like them. I have learned to trust my discernment. And so we will not be connecting. I am not available for whatever event that you've got going on. No, I am not coming because I'm gonna trust this. I'm gonna trust my inner check mark. Baby, I didn't get one. I'm not fooling with you. You can ask God about who you should and should not trust. Go to events. If you are in Huntsville, I do a quarterly empowerment brunch. It is a great opportunity to meet good women. We're not up in there gossiping, talking about people. It's none of the foolishness. You can meet people that are like you if you get outside of your comfort zone, honey. Another way I built my community is that I was not afraid to ask for help. And at being open to asking for help created so much peace and freedom. My time of recovery was really refreshing because I had the help there. And I wasn't afraid to ask. And when things shifted and I needed more help than I initially thought that I did, it worked beautifully. And then, oh, I almost forgot, I had another friend who that weekend just took my baby and let my kid hang out at her house, fed my baby that 2 days in a row. And then on Saturday, my baby was there all day hanging so I could just rest. On Sunday, she got my baby and took my baby to church with her and her family so I could just rest and recover. Man, I'm so blessed. I am so blessed and so grateful. So grateful. If I think about it a whole lot now, I will start crying again. And I'm too gangster for that. I'm too tough for that. And my last tip about building your family's village is to don't get caught up again. Don't be so caught up being sad about who's not there for you that you think should. Maybe you should be able to call on your mother, but for whatever reason, you're not. Maybe you have sisters that you should be able to call on and they're not. Listen, when let people are going to be people. And I have found that people who are not a blood relation to you can treat you better than blood relatives. So be open to God blessing you and just being a blessing. Lord have mercy. Be open, be open, be open. So, quick review. I want to read from this. Be friendly. All right. Get out of your comfort zone. Go to events. Show up. Trust the right people. Ask for help. And don't be sad about those who are not there for you because you can be so focused on who is not there that you're not even grateful for who is and you can't even see them. And I want to tell you because I feel like somebody is like, okay, well, where you meet these people at? One person I told you I met, I just knew them actually from online, and we ended up meeting up. Another person I met at church when I had a singles ministry, and it was time for, um, like we were all set up in the lobby, and I was trying to recruit people, and so people tend to shy away from singles ministry, and so I was like, "Hey, you come here," and we've been friends over a decade. So let's see, another person. Oh, my other friend down the street. I was 3 weeks out from having my baby, and I see this woman pushing what looks like a newborn. I say to myself, this look like somebody I should know. And I introduced myself, and then I think I went and found her on our neighborhood's Facebook group, reached out, and we just started talking. And she's been such a blessing because our children are only 3 weeks apart. And so it's been so cool because guess what? I had my baby at 39. 39, 41, something like that. Had my baby at 39. Well, guess what? The people that I know that have had children, they kids are either grown or about grown. So a lot of the details of the things that you did when they were infants get lost. So it was so cool and still is to have somebody going through the stages of development at the same time. So I can be like, you experiencing this and what's going on here? And I can trust that I get too busy about something that might be needed. So what kind of bottles are you using? And what kind of pacifier are you using? And what are you doing this over here? Such a huge blessing. Such a huge blessing to be able to have that. And then she's a researcher like me. She has a education. Her family, she comes from a family of educators, so she has wonderful ideas all the time that I can copy from. I just be like, you doing what? You know what? Okay, I'm gonna try that too. So I just be copying her all the time. Another friend I met through somebody else, and I don't even know that other person anymore, but we stay connected. I've connected people when I was planning an event, and that is something that I do enjoy doing. I love hosting. And so I ended up creating a Facebook group because I was having an event and I didn't want to message people individually. And now we just have this thread where we encourage each other. We're not up in there in thread talking about anybody. It's encouragement and prayer and jokes, and I like it. So that is what I did unintentionally, not knowing, because some of these relationships I've had before I got married, I unintentionally built what ended up being my family's village. And so here I am. They say it takes a village to raise a child. And sometimes or often that village is not automatically there. That's okay, baby. Wipe your tears. You can build your village and you can build your family. Family is not limited to blood relation. Was this a blessing? I hope this was a blessing to you all. So, again, I am back in the saddle. I hated that I wasn't on this Monday or last Monday, but nevertheless, boo boo, here I am. All right. So I love you all. Be blessed. And you know how we do. Don't be stingy. Share this with somebody that needs this. Okay. Love you all. Have a good one. Mwah.